Hello, good evening. Faith Walker, Damon, see y'all. Uh, Damon, did you get the email to join the broadcast tonight? Um, I sent it to you. I hope you got it. Um, hey, there's Malcolm. All right, all right. We are cooking tonight, so to speak. All right, here's Damon. Malcolm also. We're gonna bring him on. Uh, also, let me. There's Michelle. She's here. Let me also get these announcements out of the way real fast, and then we will go ahead and start. Damon, if you didn't get that email, let me know, and I'll send you another one. But we're gonna need you on here too. Okay. Josh Bradley is here. All right. Hey, universe. Hey, where's everybody coming from? uh, Last night we had a good one. There's Ladybug. All right. All right. Um, Okay, today is September 12th. Malcolm, I'll get you on in just a second, Malcolm. I'm just going to read off these announcements and then we'll begin. Um, so today is September the 12th, and the announcements are that, all right, there's Damon, and we'll have him on in a second also. Faith Walker, if you could send me your email real fast. I should have sent you an email already, but I forgot. September 2nd, the announcements are that on Facebook, I have two Facebook pages that once I'm out of Facebook jail, I will be streaming not only to YouTube, but also to Facebook until maybe we can get some free YouTube later. But I got two group pages there that this first one I'll be streaming to for sure. And that is the Oklahoma Bigfoot Predator Watch, in parentheses, antlers and surrounding areas. The other one is Choctaw Missing and Murdered Woman, WOMB, Womb Man, and Son Center and Database. And both of those are on Facebook, but like I said, I'm still on Facebook jail for right now, but I'll be off in just, I want to say 15 or 16 more days, something like that. Also, the museum, CHUHTAY, the Chute Ranch Project, the Bigfoot Experience, Tallahassee, Oklahoma, is still scheduled to open in September, but they wanted me to hold off some information for right now, but they do want to share some new information with you. So whenever I get that, I will be announcing that. And if possible, since they're not real far, maybe Malcolm and Damon, maybe all of y'all could come down for the opening day or something, and we could all go over there and check it out. Get Josh to be there for their grand opening, I guess you would say. I thought that would be kind of cool, and I was thinking they're not too far anyway. But just if you'd like to, and I'll also pass word that if they can give us a definite date, then that would help us out also as far as working to see if we can get everybody's wives together and loaded up and friends or companions, whoever y'all might want to bring to enjoy the day, maybe have a picnic down there or something, then head back. But they have asked me to hold off on some news, so I'm going to do that, but they are still scheduled for September. I do want to ask if anyone here in the room knows what the word cosmology means. And we went over that maybe about 4 nights ago. And okay, let me write this down, everybody, for just a second. But what does the word cosmology mean? Is that capital, Faith Walker? What what does the word cosmology mean? If anybody knows it, let me know. Computer is messing up. Oh, give me one more second. SBC. Okay, I just sent one with the capital. Give me 1 second, everyone, please, and I will get Faith Walker on the line. Let's see. Not a capital. Okay. SBC Global Net. Okay, Faith Walker, that should be on its way. um, uh, yeah, everybody's here. Okay, that invite was sent out also. And also I asked, what does the word cosmology mean? And I'll ask that again at the end. So tonight we've got an update on some missing people that we've asked Damon to keep us up to date with, but Malcolm also has some information. And hopefully, if Malcolm's friend is able to speak tonight or something, that all he has to do is send us a email. We can send him an invite, and he could come on if he'd want to, or if he has any more information or any more up to date information. But this is very important that we all on this channel listen to Damon and listen to Malcolm, and this is what we would do normally we would get all the information that we could on a missing person. But this is a very uh, more interesting case. It's more to what we do. Um, there are missing people in cities and things like that, and I do know a lot of missing people groups. I'm connected with a lot of those. I have also the Choctaw Missing and Murdered Woman and Son Center and Database here in Antlers. I also had a uh, missing and murdered organization up in the north, and we did find some missing people and some murderers. And we actually was kind of got that target on our back because they were well in with the corporations, I guess you would say. But we were okay with that. And now Antlers, Oklahoma, and it's also on Facebook. So if you get on Facebook and find that page, that we do have updates for things like this. But I'm on Facebook jail for about 16 more days, so I can't do anything right now. But this is the information that we like to get and gather to help with. And there's some special reasons that we need to help with this case. Also, even if it's just talking with some of the people face to face so that they know that we know what we're talking about. But I'm going to have Malcolm and Damon on, and as soon as Faith Walker gets that invite, we'll get her on here. And if Malcolm is able to get a hold of his friend while Damon's speaking, then maybe we'll have a third person or a third input on this, and then we'll have a discussion, and then we'll go into what we're going to be doing tomorrow. And then, because I think it's Tuesday when the real updates are coming back in, but we just want to be up to date with this. And if there is any more updates, even if it's tomorrow or something, Damon or Malcolm, please send me a message, and I'll put that in the next or this night's or tomorrow night's broadcast, so that people are up to date, and then we'll have both y'all on to explain what the update is, because y'all all have the information on this, and I've been working on these other things, so it's good that we're able to do that. This person works on that, this person works on that, this person works on that, and then we pull it all back in, have a meeting, and this is our meeting, I guess you'd say, because we live at different places, and we need to meet more. So it seems like we're going to be having our meetings here, and Faith Walker and the people who are going to be going out with us, Katie and things like that, whenever they get in from Colorado. So at least they would hear how we do things and how we're able to help people, just by talking, just by people hearing us talk. So I'm going to have Damon come on, and Faith Walker, whenever you get that, I want you to come on also to be a part of the group, be in the meeting, and through just everything that you remember and everything that you learned, you have input, because I noticed you've been keeping up with everything, and I want a lot more people to be doing that, so that we can have people in all areas, their own groups, that we all meet up, and you all have the information that everybody needs. Okay, I'm going to have Damon and Malcolm on, and I'm going to have Damon, if you will explain first the updates and a catch up from last night, and then we'll when you've got that information to us, then we will ask Malcolm if he has anything that that you might not have known or didn't cover or might have forgot. And then if we get lucky enough and have the other guy also on here, then he can also fill in any things that we might have all missed. And that's the best way to do it. Get it from someone who's right there. But you two are the best at gathering this right here, and I know you've done a good job. So we'll go ahead and get started, and hopefully we can get the guy on later. But right now, everyone, that we're going to have Damon come on first, and we want him to update us, and then when he's given us that information, then we'll go to Malcolm, and then we'll have a discussion about it, and we can have input in here, but we don't need guessing. So if you're if you haven't really been paying attention to the streams, please try not to throw a guess in. Um, Give us some knowledge that we've covered up. I just want to listen to the reports, and then whenever they both completed, and if we get the third, then after that third, then we'll have a discussion and see how we can help, and then we'll also wait for the updates on Tuesday. So please welcome Damon and Malcolm tonight. And is that okay? Y'all like that one?
That works a lot better.
Okay. Yeah, I will pay up there. Okay, well, we got a full house. It looks like there's a lot of friends in the room. We're still waiting on Faith Walker to get over here, but uh, well, she actually said, I know y'all can't read these comments, but Faith Walker says cosmology is what Josh said, study of the universe, creation, origin. Um, this might be easier, but we went over cosmology. I don't know if everybody remembers. I'm kind of covering up the answers, but it's real easy if you just think about cosmology and what it means.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have Damon start off with. How you doing, Damon?
I'm I'm doing pretty good. I'm still kind of, like I said, there was so much activity out there when I went out there. I was out there probably 2 hours, and I mean it's wild. I mean there's so much activity out there. They've heard a lot of hoop hollers. Um, that one of the rescue, they said that, they told me that the right arm was removed, and all the blood was taken out of the body. And I didn't get to see the body because it was already been transported. I'm just taking what they had told me and the evidence that I seen out there. There's a lot of activity in that area.
And that's the Keystone, right? The Keystone.
Yeah,
What's that called? Is it
that,
Keystone
that's
Park
actually,
or?
no, it's actually the Keystone Dam, and then they've got the Keystone. It's a kind of like a in park and recreation.
Camping and hiking, that kind of thing.
They've got camping, hiking out there. You know there's another part of the lake that kind of flows off into Keystone. You probably know where I'm talking about, Malcolm. If you go over the Keystone Dam, it's another mile and a half on up that road, and you turn back off to the right. But you know, I drove out there, talked to a couple of people I know, and they said that, yeah, they're up there at the little store. They're putting some more cameras in down there by the pavilion. They're putting more cameras in because there's been a lot of activity.
Oh,
You know,
okay. So I was going to see if you could just give us kind of a report from like the first time you heard of what happened to
that was a lot. That they said Friday, when last Friday, they were talking about that there was two missing people up at Keystone Dam. They really didn't go into detail. And then when I talked to a another officer that's on the rescue team, search and rescue team. That's when I got a little bit more information when I got back when I got uh, when I talked to him Sunday, and then then he told me, he said, well, after the scene was cleared, then I could come out and talk to him, because then that way it was still an open case, but they cleared the scene enough to where that people could go back to being in that area. And so that's what he was explaining to me, is that there was a body that was found, the arm was removed, blood, there was blood out of the body, and it was an early stage of decomp.
And the
And
missing woman and the missing guy was on the same day, or
I
yeah.
I don't know the exact days that they apart, but I know within a week there was 2 people missing.
Okay.
And they said that the woman had made it back to the road, and she flagged somebody down, and they got her immediate attention. They said that she was very hysterical and really couldn't understand and know what she was really saying. It was kind of, it was all kind of jumbled together. Well, we know kind of, we know what happened, but they don't want to release that information to the public.
Okay, so was there any more information that you have up to this date as of, like, did you
I'm
talk to anybody?
I'm I'm going to be talking to I'm hopefully going to be talking to somebody Tuesday. If there's anything new, and then I'm going to see about going with a friend of mine out back out there again because I've got issues with my car right now, and I can't get back out there. So he's going to take me back out there. We're going to kind of get a little bit closer to where that area is at, and he's a very experienced hunter, and he wants to kind of see what I'm talking, the things I was talking about. He wants to kind of see the things that we've been talking about, because he's really interested in this.
Can you go live when you do that? Are you able to do that?
I'm going to try to.
Okay. Yeah, if you can, that would be great. Or record it and send it. Maybe we could have it on here wherever you tracked and what you found, and
Yeah.
so we can share that with everybody here. Um, so I'm going to ask Malcolm now to if he's got any more information, uh, and see where we can help out next. And I know that Damon is going to be keeping up to date with a lot of this, and uh, he also has a report or that he will do on Tuesday when he gets more information, and then we can also share that here, and we can discuss this more. And if all else all possible, it'd be great if we could get up there and see if we can speak with this woman. And I know you was also going to keep give us an update on that Tuesday or something, or see what we can do. Maybe we can speak with
Yeah.
her. It's only because we're the only ones who know, that can, you know, have that confidence enough, to speak with her, because I know that whoever she's talking to doesn't know what she's talking about, or like we were saying, they may try to put her on pills because they don't understand her and they don't understand what's happening to her right now. So
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're gonna have Malcolm. Malcolm's gonna give us an update. He's also been keeping up on this. He's found some other information. So we're gonna put all that together, and hopefully, if we can get the third, but if not, we're gonna have a discussion on the best route right now for everyone as far as people who are involved in this. And we already have one person deceased from this. The woman is still she's alive and well, but she has trauma and from everything that she encountered. Remember, this is a Bigfoot channel now, so these things are what we look for, what we listen for, and then we can see what we can do with on how to help. But please listen to Malcolm. He'll give us an update on what he knows, and then we'll put everything together, and then we'll have that discussion. And Kay, Faith Walker, whenever you get that, oh, she says trying to get in, and I'm sorry it's taking me so long. Okay, just whatever you can get here, Faith Walker. So everyone, please welcome Malcolm, and please give him your attention. Listen to what he's saying. Listen to his words, and put things together. Also, since you've been paying attention to this channel for a while, you know what to listen for, and just listen to the words. Malcolm, you got the floor now, so we'd like to welcome you, and we're listening to you. We're listening.
Okay, Jerry, I appreciate you having me on tonight. Um, I just got back home. Just got through driving 300 miles. We had went to South Texas. Is the reason why I haven't been on the last couple of nights. So I'm still kind of playing catch up myself. Um, I was subscribed to a guy's channel that lives up in northeast Oklahoma, and he kind of puts out there what's going on in his area. And he had put on that a body had been found, so I contacted him, and he and I messaged back and forth um, pretty much all day Friday. Um, I asked him what he knew, and he was asking me what all I knew, but it, he was talking about a different incident, that the body that he knew of that had been found, they evacuated the people that was in the park up there, and everybody was telling him that it looked like a half wolf, half man body. So evidently, it was possibly a hybrid Bigfoot, as we've learned here about the DNA and the consumption of the DNA and everything. Um, I'm going to get back with him on it and see what else he has found out about that over the weekend. And I had listened to another one of his posts where he had went fishing with the son in the same area. I guess this weekend. I know we're not supposed to guess. I know you said I guess, but I believe it was this weekend. And he and his son had been fishing in the lake up there, and he said it was real far down, like 3 foot down. And that was very unusual for the lake he was at. And he and his son was being shadowed as they were going back to their vehicle after fishing. And you can hear the conversation between he and his son. And his son was real anxious. You could tell his son was kind of scared, and he was trying to console the son, telling him it's going to be okay and everything. But they're talking about this creature that was walking along the wood line as they was walking back to the car. This was one of the first times that I have talked to this guy personally, and he seems real interested in what we're doing, what we're saying. And tomorrow I'm going to try to get a hold of him and invite him on to go live with us. And he has some pretty good knowledge about the area and what's going on. A lot of weird things that has taken place in that area. I know a few months back when I first ran across the site, he was talking about a Bigfoot body that had been spotted in that area, and by the time he got a team together to go see what was going on, the area had been cemented in, and the ground was covered up with concrete. And there's a couple of bridges that he just had investigated where they were doing a lot of work out in the middle of the woods for no reason. And it was some report of activity out there in that area, and there's just some real interesting stories that this guy has. He has grown up in that area up in northeast Oklahoma, and he gets a lot of good information from his friends and stuff in that area that he's grown up with. So, but it really seems like the whole southeast, I mean the eastern side, from southeast to northeast Oklahoma, there's just a whole lot of activity around. Now, with the incident that Damien was telling you about with Keystone, I used to live by Keystone. I lived that area for 13, well, for the last 10 years, but probably the last 8 years, there was a whole lot of activity that I'm familiar with, and it's actually what got me involved in looking to see what's going on. The thing with the body, with the right shoulder ripped off and the drain of blood, I walked out in my yard one morning and I had a fawn laying in the yard with footprints around it. The right shoulder had been torn off, and it was also drained of blood. Quite a ordeal to wake up to in your yard, and dogs wouldn't go near it. They were staying up at the house. A friend of mine and I, we hung it in a tree that afternoon. And hung it up about 7 foot in the tree just to see what would happen. And that night, about 9 o'clock, about an hour after dark, my wife and I was standing in the yard and listening, and we could hear commotion going on down around it. And I could hear the snatch when it was snatched out of the tree, and it sounded that it was a scream that I can't describe the scream. There's the first scream I heard, yeah, it sounded, like a woman screaming bloody murder. It wasn't a cougar or anything like that. It was definitely a squatch. and this scream was different. This wasn't coyote. This wasn't cougar. This wasn't anything I had ever heard before. And it was deeper. It was I just can't describe it. It was just crazy. Turned around, my wife was gone. She just took off, went inside. She didn't want nothing to do with it. And I was standing listening, and they would make the sounds of coyotes when they would run. The pack would, and it wasn't coyotes. I know coyotes. Like I said, it has that extra vocals in it, and they would always run the base of the mountain. I was on where I lived at this time. I was on the other side of the wilderness from Keystone, on the other side of the mountain hill line. So there was probably 30 miles between me and Keystone, and it was just all woods and hills and valleys and creeks and stuff between us, and between me and Keystone. I mean. But so that was just one incident. But what got me was when he said about the right shoulder being torn, and that's exactly the same way that this bond was done. And the right shoulder was torn, and there was no blood in it or around it or anything. And but I'm probably will. I got a couple of pictures of that, and I'm thinking about putting that into the museum there in Tallahassee and talking to them about it and telling them the occurrences on that. But as far as what's going on up there, I will talk to the guy up there in northeast Oklahoma and see what else he says and try to get an update. And I will invite him on to go live with us also. Okay, Jerry.
What lake was that, Malcolm? Because
he is up by Ooliga Lake, the northern part of Ooliga Lake.
trying to think, is that east of Tulsa?
It is
That's south. That's south.
northeast of Tulsa.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is probably, you have Keystone Lake, that's on the west part of Tulsa. Then you have Scottoot Lake on the north part, and Ooliga Lake is probably it's probably about 40 miles from northeast of Tulsa.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we got a couple hot spots that are happening right now. But I do want to welcome Faith Walker. And Faith Walker actually has some situations happening in her area right now. And so I was actually wanting to see if because this all correlates everything, because it's happening there, it's happening here. So I was wanting to ask you, Faith Walker, if you might share with us some things that are happening around your area, like where you live. I mean, the last person, which was a friend of mine, we went to his house and he told us of exactly what was happening, and we set up and we seen exactly what he said, what was going on. And so if you could just explain to us a little bit about your territory area and what you've seen and what's going on, and just share a little bit with us about the experiences and things that you have, pretty please.
Um, we we live in southeast Texas, uh, very near the Piney Woods, the Sam Houston National Forest, the Big Thicket area, and uh, really not too far from the Davy Crockett National Forest. There's a lot of swampland and old growth forest. This particular area was a lot of Alabama Coushatta uh, Native American tribes. Um, we live. I'm so nervous. I'm sorry. I've never done this before. Anyway, a couple of years ago, we've been out here about 10 years, and a couple of years ago, it was like a fire break trail, and I would go out there, and every spring, really, it seems like it's when it's the most. There's pine trees about that big around that are broken off top and bottom and just laid across the trail about 9 feet apart. Like there's a pattern to them in between maybe 11 and 15 of them. And at first I thought, well, do we have squatters? Is it meth heads? Is it somebody just trying? Like, it was just weird, you know. We own a little over 10 acres, and all around us at that time, nobody lived back there. It was just all old forest, unsold lots. And I'd asked around, nobody knew about, I hadn't heard anything about what it was, and I thought it was humans at first. And every now and then, if they'd rot down, then some new ones would replace. And I'd pull them out of the way, and I'd go back, and they're back out there again. And this last year, when we really started, my grandson and I started clearing some of the property across the creek. We have a creek that serpentines all around our property. It borders it on one side and crosses across the front, and really almost does a horseshoe around us. And so all the activity seems to be happening on the other side of the creek. So we're on the first 3 acres, and then there's 7 acres of just nothing back there. And we started clearing on the other side of the creek, and that's when I just started noticing footprints. And I went out there to the trail one time. Say I'd remove the poles, and they'd come back, and I'm sorry, I'm so nervous, y'all. I'll get better at this. I thought that it was just a natural overgrowth over the path, but they had pulled branches and vines from both sides of the path to create a barrier, like a wall. Like, so their logs didn't stop me, and I couldn't find any trace of humans out there. The logs didn't stop me, and then I cut through the branches and everything, thinking it was still natural. And then on the other side of that was a giant axe, and just exploring around back in there. I go back there without the grandson now, but exploring around back there, I found shelters, which Jerry's seen the picture of them. They start out with the bent over saplings and start weaving them in and filling them in, and each time you go back, it's a little more full. It's almost like they create a blind, and then behind that starts the structure coming. And on our property it looks almost like a grass hut, but made with pine needles and bent saplings interwoven. And then I have permission to go on a neighbor's property because they're not there, and the man passed away. But the structures over there are more like the teepees with the bigger poles. Like, when I first saw them, I was thinking different architects or something, because they're 2 different plans. I don't know what they are, but I don't think it's the same family or the same. They look like 2 different people. Whatever. Bigfoot created them. We've heard howls out here. Had some cats go missing, but that, we do have a lot of predators. We got the black panthers and bobcats and things like that. I've taken pictures. My eyesight is fine with the glasses on, but if I'm looking off into the distance, I can't see that great. So I just go a lot on instinct. If I feel really eerie about a certain spot, I snap pictures of it, and then I look at the pictures when I get home. And I got a pretty, which I showed Jerry. It just looks like, it almost looks like Groot, which he said that that's a Bigfoot. Just different creatures out there that I don't think is just pareidoia. I try to be real careful about not, it's easy to see things in the rotten leaves and things like that, but I go by how I feel and how quiet the forest is, because there's certain areas of the forest back there that are absolutely still and silent, and or just a few noises like what you guys are saying. But I will say that I'm deaf in one ear, so maybe you guys could hear some things that I'm not able to hear out there. But at the same time, it just feels so heavy. So when I take the pictures of the areas that I'm leery of, invariably there's something in the picture that is just giving me validation that that's what I'm seeing. I have cast some prints, but I'm not very good at that, and I'm trying to learn. And they're down in a gully, it seems like, that, or a wash that they seem to want to travel in. I found some bones in there. It just seems like a good ambush spot. There's so many arches. I've just quit even documenting them anymore. I've seen the poles crisscrossed that look almost like a wagon wheel spoke out there. There's Jerry, help me. There's I heard like Native American. This was weird. When I was starting to learn about the mimicking, I took a Native American flute out there, and I'm not good at it at all. And it had been a couple years since I had even found it. And I went out there and just sat by the creek and was playing, attempting to play it. And I thought, well, all I'm going to do is aggravate anything. This was back before I realized that they were predators, right? They were still my forest friends. And I played for a few minutes. I'm like, this is just going to offend somebody the way I'm playing. This is terrible. And so I put it up, and I went out there about a week later, and I was just sitting by the creek just trying to listen. And I've clearly heard Native American flute the way it should be played. But I thought, well, I didn't like that at all. I thought, oh, are they mocking me or what? It just was really weird. And I see the mist and the things like that, but I'm trying to learn what you're saying about, looking through the eye and so that I can more clearly see defined outlines. I hear so many noises that I'm unsure of, because with my hearing, I can't tell the direction of it, and like I would like y'all's help with that. We've heard gibberish out there. My sister clearly heard that when I tried to take her to see some of the shelters, the structures that I had found, and she wouldn't. We got out at the driveway at the other property, and she could hear it, and the first thing to come to her mind, which she said, it just sounds creepy, like an authoritative, super deep voice that she couldn't quite make out. And she said, there's like traffickers back there or something, that they just sounded like angry. And I think it was a samurai speak. And I could just barely hear it, and it wasn't loud enough to get on recording. But she was like, no, we're done, because you could hear one over there and one over there. And that was also close to that creek, of course, the activity with the creek. And then another weird thing out there is I recently met a guy that lives about 7 miles from here. And when he found out where we live, he was asking where we live, and I was trying to describe it. We have a little grid close to our driveway. And he said, oh, I know exactly where that is. And he said, I got a story for you. 2 years ago, so 2019, in the summer, he said he was coming down the road at 4:30 in the morning, and he saw a dead doe in the road and a baby fawn. And he got out to get the fawn, and he heard a noise, and he looked behind him. And so it was the truck, the dead doe, and then the fawn. And so he's ahead up at the fawn trying to get it. and he said that he said, I don't know any other way to describe this, but it stood on 2 feet, walked on 2 feet, but it had hands and it looked like a big giant dog. And it had grabbed the deer and was pulling it off the road. He said, big, hairy, black and gray dog. And he said it just freaked me out so bad. He actually, I think he passed the deer. I think I'm getting confused here, because he was able to throw the fawn into his truck. So he must have already passed the deer. So this thing was behind him, and he threw the fawn into the truck and said he took off, and that thing took off. He said it ran off on 4 legs, and it ran down our driveway. And he said for 3 months he couldn't bring himself to go down our road again, because he would take the long way around for work. Because he said, honestly, it just freaked me out so bad that I just couldn't work up the courage to go back down the road. And I thought it was y'all's, is what he said. I don't know if he thought we were werewolves up in here. I don't know what he thought lived in here, but it freaked him out. And but it was about that same time I had a daughter that was 15, and she said that twice she came running in the house. She would have to wait out in the dark for the bus. But she saw a gray. She said it was way bigger than a Great Dane, just a big oversized dog, just sitting there staring at her, just in a really weird manner. And so I don't know if we got dog men out here too, but it sounds like it. The Bigfoot tracks are coming a little bit closer, because they used to be on the back part of the property. But here recently, it's straight off the porch, maybe 60 yards is the creek. And I found a good big print just right there, like it had been in the creek and was going up over the creek to the other side. Neighbors on both sides have structures and signs. Sit out on the porch and you can hear, like my husband was saying the other night, he said, I want you to come hear this. He said, I heard an owl over here, and then over here is something that is a bad impression of an owl. And but it had stopped by the time I got out there. But it was reminding me of what y'all were talking about the other night. And then we've been out there and heard like a howl, scream, and then a pig squeal, or wild hog squeal, because we have those out here too. And there was one I said, like, what was that? And he said, that means it's time to go inside. And so we came in the house, and just different noises. There was like 3 o'clock in the morning. I tried to take our Rotweiler out when she was about 6 months old. And she wouldn't go out the door, but it sounded like, it reminded me of being at the monkey house at the zoo when they go crazy, and the cross between that and coyotes all at the same time. It was just crazy. And so I turned around, I'm saying, Tug, come on, to get her to go outside. And she's like, no, I'm not going outside. I was like, all right. But when they heard me speak, it just got silent just that quick. There was nothing. Almost till like I was like, did I imagine that? Am I still half asleep? Because it was about 3 in the morning, 3:30. What else? Just stories like that. Sherry, did you see the portal pictures? It looked like a portal. There's this one spot back in the woods, not our property, but adjacent to it. I do have permission to go there. That it's just, it always creeps me out. It's just icky looking, and I pass it to get to other parts, but I won't go in it. There's like this really narrow shaft of light going through it, and it's really kind of on a little peninsula, so there can't be that much in there. But just I don't like that spot, but I always take pictures of that spot. Well, this day the Rottweiler started, and she's bigger now. She started about 3 feet in, and she turned around, came right back out, and I was like, yeah, I hear you. But I took pictures, and there's 3 consecutive pictures, and you can just see the dead branches and sticks and thicket, and then the second picture, it's starting to swirl at the top, and by the third picture, it's just completely rotating. Looks like a portal or a vortex or something. I know there's something going on in that section of the wood. Like there's just a different type of weirdness going on in the different places. One area is just kind of fairly cool with the structures and peaceful, but the other one with the teepee-like structures is always quiet and heavy feeling to me. And then the one with the portal over there, I haven't found any structures there, but that's where I heard the flute, and that's where that, it's just creepy there. And I've got pictures that look to me like a skinwalker in the picture. So I don't know if there's some Native American burial stuff going on. I don't know what's going on over there. I know we found lots of arrowheads, and not we, but my prior neighbor had found lots of arrowheads in the creek, and there is a reservation fairly near here. Yeah, the rest just noises and instinct. And I forgot to tell you the logs that were across the trail, and then I open the trail, open that brush, come back out maybe 10 days to 2 weeks later, and an entire tree like that. It was 23 inches around because I measured it. It just been pushed over, so the entire tree top was over the path. Like I was like, okay, well, I'll go around it. And then, of course, I learned from you that they're trying to get you to go around to get off of the path. So I've done everything wrong all the way up and down the line. And then I started watching you. I'm like, geez, I got some good guardian angels. I tell you what, because I'm doing everything wrong. But pretty sure there's stuff going on out here. I'm done.
Yeah, you have some Bigfoot and sounds like some dog men, but they're all hybrids. So they, like we were talking about the other night, they will lull you. I mean, they will, all those sounds you heard, then they all got quiet at one time. We were just talking about that with the Bigfoots. When they get quiet, sometimes it's just them.
Right.
That's making that whole symphony that sounds like a whole forest around you, and then all of a sudden, when they go quiet, I mean, so if possible, that would be a great place for like a little, I don't want to say a camp because I don't know the area that well, but it would be a good place to come up and get some um, photos and some information about that area, so we can also see what's going on, in that
Right.
area.
I'd love to see what you guys think, because you can go. There's so many arches and things out there, and just I'd love to get some expert opinions on what's going on out there.
Well, I was going to also tell you, Faith Walker, there's an app that you can put on your phone that will boost the volume on your phone when you do recordings.
Really?
Yes.
You know what it's called?
It's a volume booster that you can get through like your app store,
Okay.
and you can download that to that, and
Awesome.
then you turn that on before you start recording, and you can go up to 200% higher on your phone.
Wow. Cool. Okay.
And that will get you out to the range that I found out will get you out to almost a quarter mile.
Dang. Okay. Man, that would have come in handy that day, because that's the only time we've heard the gibberish. Oh, there was one other time that my daughter and one of her friends, and this would have been 2019 too, they were going to camp out in the yard, and they heard across the creek about 11:30. They come running in the house, and they said they heard a creepy old man, is what they said, saying, "Here, kitty, kitty." Oh, I told y'all about that. I already told y'all about that. That totally freaked him out. And now looking back on it, I'm thinking, I wonder if that was one of them mimicking. Maybe one of the girls had said, "Here, kitty, kitty," or I don't know, but freaked him out.
The other thing that your spiral will is mimicking, and if you look at the pictures of it, it's a funnel web.
Okay.
Of the funnel spider.
Okay.
Because what it does, you ever seen the what they call the horn of plenty?
Mhm.
how it goes very narrow at one end, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger at the other end.
Mhm.
That's what you're looking for. That is what they use as portal. That's how they teach to mimic and make the orbs.
Okay.
Because
Cool.
a lot of people
Good to know
mistake
that.
orbs. A lot of people mistake orbs as what they call marsh gas. It's not marsh gas.
Okay. I
Marsh
have a
gas
picture too of. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
marsh gas actually has a flame in it, like a floating candle, but there's nothing underneath it because what it
Right.
is methane that's actually ignited and it's floating and it's burning the oxygen in that bubble.
Okay. Yeah, I don't
And
think I've ever seen that. I do have a picture, and the dog was looking and barking one time at a certain area, just at the little wolves. And I have a picture of it looks like a pink, it's not perfectly round like an orb, but it's a pink,
right, it
looks
it
like
it
it's
almost
coming into a shape.
it almost kind of reminds you of when you blow a bubble with like
Hmm.
soap bubble and you
Hmm.
kind of see the different colors in it.
Yep.
That is what they call marsh gas.
Okay.
Because what it's doing is it is burning up it is burning up in the atmosphere.
So that's
And
just
since
coming from like the plants
from the
deteriorating or
plant,
what?
well, after the plants have died, they give off the
Okay.
methane. and,
Okay.
and depending on your your trees, you already said that it's an old forest. Well, if you think about it, all that compost now that has to give off some kind of gas, and that gas, after that gas is released, that's when it breaks down even more and turns into fertilized food.
And then there's a lot of long mounds out there. I don't know if they're all just trees that have fallen that the pine needles have stacked up over the years, or I wondered if they
No, that they're
bury
building,
things or
yeah, and they're building blinds, huts,
But
hunting lodges.
they
Um,
also use they also use that too as food storage.
okay.
They use that as food storage because as it piles up, the heat from those pine needles
Mm-hmm.
actually will cook the food.
Okay. Well, yeah, because there's one area that just seems like there's so many of them, and it's over with the teepee type, the one that looked like a wagon spoke, and
Yeah,
then there was one time there's a little shelf on top of it. This was back when I thought they were my forest friends. There was a shelf woven out of the branches in one of the structures, and there was a skunk skull on it. And I took it home and I made a little Bigfoot doll and a baby and a mama Bigfoot doll, and I took them back and put them on the shelf. I was going to do the whole gifting thing. And then it was not too like it was not too long after I started watching your show. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm not trying to. Yeah, okay. So I went and got them. I put the skunk skull back, and I got my. Oh no, I went back in between time, and the mother doll was. I had googly eyes on it, and they
mm,
had unwoven it. The two were together, woven onto that shelf, so they wouldn't just fall off. And I don't think a squirrel could have knocked them off. But the larger doll had the eyes picked off of it and thrown on the ground, and it was thrown on the ground. The baby doll was still on the shelf.
oh
And the more I
wow.
thought about it and listened to that, I was like, yeah, yeah, that's creepy. So I went back. I gave them back their skull, and I took back the dolls and burned them, and like, yeah, walked around saying the Lord's Prayer out there and stuff. And I was like, yeah, okay, I take it back. My brother says they probably are scared of me. They're probably like, this woman's crazy as hell. Like, just this woman's nuts. She doesn't know what she's doing out here. But okay, I think it's one of the stories.
but the other thing too is the one thing that they do not like is cedar that's been burnt.
I heard you say that. I took note of that.
Mhm.
I mean that's like that's like putting mothballs out for snakes.
So it's also kind of like burning their home down. Kind of
Yeah.
like they don't like that smell. But
No,
I was also going to ask you, when y'all heard the owls, did you hear one owl or two owls or two separate, like on
He
both
heard
sides
two
of you?
owls. Well, he said he heard what sounded like a real owl, and then he heard what sounded like a fake owl. He said one that was doing a bad impression of an owl off to the right, off to the south. And the real owl, there is one that comes out there at night because we see it, and
right.
it's to the left, up closer to the road, but then off to the right is where the fake owl is.
How
But
close does that owl come to you?
The very closest, 30 feet, 30 feet maybe.
How's your wildlife? How's do you have deer out? I mean, you may see young deer like yearlings on your property or in the wood line, but do you see any like older deer, older does, older bucks with big horns? Do you see those? That's what I'm looking for.
Not super often. I did see a pretty good sized doe the other day, but it's been the first time here on this property in quite a while. Um, and it seems like it just picks up in the fall. But this whole road going away from here, there's been quite a few deer, but not on this property. It's kind of spotty here on this property, just one here or there that I see. But we have we have armadillos. I've seen
we call them armored rats.
yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. It's yeah. In fact, in that one area with the teepee structures, there was nothing but the head and a tail of an armadillo, and it was fresh. Something had just eaten it, but I didn't know if that was a cougar or bobcat or what had gotten it. But it was all right there, very close in the same area.
If there's big
If there's what?
armadillos, rats, bats, whatever they can find, they're going to eat. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they can find food out here.
Well, not only that, but a possum will eat another possum. So
Right.
they're pretty much carnivores. They'll eat pretty much if it's dead, they'll eat it.
Yeah. And I know there's plenty of hogs out here. You know, they can. I know they like hog meat. As
yeah.
far as Bigfoot, they've got that in supply.
Have you do you have people that trap them out there?
Not around here. There's no. Somebody recently bought the land and are logging it. Some of it that is adjacent to ours at the end of the 10 acres. But for years that had been 30 acres untouched. And recently a whole family, they each bought 10 lot sections. And I noticed that as soon as they started marking their trails, some new shelters popped up. Like I just can't believe how bold they are because they're right there by where the property line is. Like, okay, you're putting up your fence, we're making our stand right here. It's so weird. I'd have never, like, because I always hear about going way out, and I'm like, you can step 50 feet off the road and find them out here. You know, it's just crazy to me.
Now, since you got a pen and paper, there's an herb that you can use. You can use it dry,
Uh-huh.
or you can get the oil. It's called penny royal
I know
oil.
that one. Okay. And
And
what am I using it for?
you mix that with mineral oil, and you spray it on your pant legs, shoes, around the house. It gets rid of fleas, ticks, chiggers.
Oh, good.
Yeah, especially chiggers over there, Mr. Jerry, in the socks.
Oh, you're going to find chiggers around Bigfoot. Wherever Bigfoot
Yeah.
are,
Yeah.
they have fleas or something. You'll always find that around them.
but this helps because you can even put it on the neck of the dogs, and
Okay.
it will, since it's oil, it will last for 3 months.
Oh wow. Okay.
I've
Definitely, I'll
even
get that.
I've even seen it. I've even seen it and witnessed it. I had a friend of mine. Her house was infested with roaches, and I brought that in, and it was like 2 days later there was no infestation. It
Dang.
literally killed. It literally killed them on contact.
Cool.
Hmm.
Definitely getting that because the cedar oil didn't work. I had stocked up on cedar oil one year, and it was going to be just the greatest thing, but that did not work.
But
If you
what
can, also use peppermint oil because
peppermint? You can use peppermint
spot,
oil too.
spiders don't like peppermint, and
No.
no creature. But Facewalker, I also want to see if you might be able to send me a GPS or a latitude and longitude area of where you're located, and
Um,
I'll also, if you can, or I can also, but look up ley lines, LEY dash
mhm.
lines, and see if you're right on one of those where the
I wondered
energy.
about that.
Yeah, because I always look at that too, and I always find Bigfoots in those areas too.
Okay.
Hornby, Hornby is a big. They have a Bigfoot festival, which is in October, and they're right on a power ley line, and so I always look at things like that too, especially when you were
Okay.
talking about portals and everything.
And the other thing that they're really close to is dead zones. Like when you watching the meter on your phone, and when it goes almost to nothing, they're in that area really there because with that being quieter and not a lot of activity from cell phones and everything else, that's a lot of activity. That's a lot going on in that area.
That area, like, yeah, you can almost mark exactly the spot. That is exactly where it gets super heavy feeling out there and where the shelters are. That's exactly like I lose signal as soon as I get
And
get out of that spot.
the other thing that will show you too is if you will take like like a silver coin
Mhm.
and punch a hole through it and put a line, put a string on it. When you get closer to that dead zone, it'll start spinning faster and faster.
Really,
Yes.
I'm gonna try that. Cool. I'm writing all this
Because
down so I don't forget.
because because what it is, it's the magnetism in the ground that's pushing against each other. It's like taking two magnets and putting them on the south pole and pushing them together. So it actually makes a kind of like a negative portal. And
Okay.
there's quite a bit of them around the
And
around the world.
Hey, Faith, have you heard anything that has sounded like maybe conversations between more than one? Like if it's
that's
two or
what
three?
that day with my sister when as soon as we got out of the car over at that other property where the teepee structures are, um, the driveway goes down the center and the teepee structures are to the right and to the left is the area where I caught the picture of the portal looking thing. To the left because the creek winds all through there too. But that was the area where she could hear. She was like, one's over there and one's over there. She could hear them talk. They were just on the edge of my hearing, so I couldn't hear them like she could, but I could barely hear them. And I wish I'd had that app. Um, but she could hear them clearly enough not to understand what they were saying. But she said that's what she thought. Where it was, it like human trafficking? Is it angry men back in it? Like that's what she thought it was. Just the way they sound, but she couldn't make out any words. And I said, "You." It only took a few minutes. She's like, "What's over there?" And then she said,
Mm-hmm.
"We're done." I said, "You don't want to go look at the shelter?" She's like, "No, we're done." And she made me leave. I was like, "Okay, all
The
right."
other thing too is if you have an old like an old tape recorder or a digital tape recorder, you can put a microphone on that. Find you a good working microphone And this is something you can do is take tinfoil and put it on, cut the end off of a 2-liter jug, put the tinfoil on the inside of that, put your microphone on there, and it will amplify any
That's
sound.
smart. Like a little parabolic.
Yes.
Smart.
And then that way you can actually carry it with you, and that tinfoil won't make noise inside that plastic bottle.
That's smart. 'Cause she had told me to go out there with a megaphone and just put it up to my ear to listen to things, But I was like, that's going to be cumbersome to try to do. We're trying to think, try ducking spider webs with a giant megaphone tucked to your ear.
But you're hearing everything, and it's not filtered.
Okay.
When just like when you buy those what they call the hunter's helper, it's the little that's a little earpiece that you can put in, and you turn that up so you can hear the deer. Those don't have a filter in them.
Yeah.
So it's like somebody, anything out there would be like screaming right directly in your ear, and that's very uncomfortable.
I did try to borrow one of those, and for some reason, like I wasn't hearing right, and it kept doing
Squeaking.
the whistle thing. Yes. And so I was just annoying everything more than it was helping me. I was, they could all hear me squealing.
You got to turn that down a little bit. And when you turn it down just a little bit to where that if you take your hand as far as you can and you can lightly snap your fingers and you hear a click, 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 you're on the right frequency.
Okay. Cool.
I've been doing this off and on for 10 plus years, and I've got little tricks to the trade, and showing people how to really fine tune themselves to figure it out. And one thing to help with shadows is if you light a candle and kind of a not total darkness, but kind of a dim, and watch the flickering of that and the shadow of the way the candle moves. It helps you train your mind to see the outlines and the shadows.
Okay. That's a good idea. Yeah, because the blue mist I saw, I couldn't, like, I've seen mist many times, even like in the house, not this house, but our old house, but never a distinct outline. So that's to practice with that, you're saying?
Well, yeah, because see, even like when you're walking out in the woods or walking across the yard, and you kind of see that quick, that quick glimpse. That's going to train your eye to look where that's at and focus a little bit more.
Okay. I'll write that down. I appreciate it.
Oh, definitely.
So, Faith Walker, it sounds like you've got a couple of things you need to have checked out, and if you could send us that GPS location, we can look at that and see if we can't make it up that way. You're not real far. I wouldn't think. And
it's
also
6 hours
Damon.
from here to Talahina.
Oh, 6 hours. Okay, that might be. If we can get the group together for maybe a week outing or something, we could spend a day getting up there and planning and doing some looking around. And I thought Malcolm was going to.
I was going to say, are you in South Texas or
Southeast Texas? We're about, baby, are we about 80 miles north of Houston? I think about 80 miles north of Houston.
Okay.
The
Near Livingston.
The other thing I was going to ask you to do too that would help out is to get you a state map, and then that way, you can put a stick pin in all the places.
I always tell them my oldest daughter that today. I was like, when we get this little building up here, I want to turn it into like my little Sasquatch research
Yeah.
center. I was like, I want a big map on the wall and I want stick pins for the siding. She's like, Mom, go shabby chic, Mom. And I'm like, no, I want cryptids. I want
Well, I mean, the other thing too is if you have places around you that just like they're built. You said they're building homes over there.
Mhm.
Okay, they're going to be bringing in pallets. Why not reuse the pallets to build you a shed,
That's
a
a good
mom
idea.
shed? That's it. It's a Faith Walker mom shed.
There you go.
We just named it for you.
There you go.
And then all you have to
Mhm.
do is just run you an extension cord out there, and put you some LED lights in it. You're
Right.
good to go.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Mhm.
I think it's a good idea.
The-
I know
you
somebody that did one of the little pallet
Yeah.
house like that.
Well, well, that's a new honeydew to put on the husband's to-do list.
Oh yeah, no, poor guy. No, I'm not putting another thing on that poor man's to-do list.
I know I'm picking on it, picking on him too.
I tried to build a little chapel out there, and I'm like, thank God he came along and helped us build this house, because I'd be squatch stew by now if I had to build our shelter.
So I was gonna say that we'll go ahead and close here in just a second. We still got a little bit of homework to do. We need Damon, who's on the Keystone Missing People, Malcolm with the lake, and the man for tomorrow if possible. And Faith Walker, if you can get us some audio safely or any new updates on Prince, anything new, safely, don't just go out there trying to, because I know
Right.
it's out there. I know it's out there, but at least we can see of how recent they are and how close they're getting. Because
And
also look at that.
I was going to say, and to answer your question about your Paris of plaster, you want to make it just a little bit thinner than pancake batter,
Okay.
because what that does is it if you get it too thick, it won't set right. You want it to
Right.
where it kind of poured like pancake batter, but you don't want it as thick as cornbread.
Gotcha.
So you want it kind of in between. And another good way to do that is to like if you have an old cookie sheet, you can pour a little bit in there, let it set, and then you can also use an egg timer to see how long it takes for it to set up. And then that way you kind of have markers on how long it would take
Okay.
for that casting to set for you.
Right. Yeah,
And
so
then
far I'm not real good at finding. I'm way better at finding structures than I am at finding the footprints.
right.
One problem for me is the thick pine needles. Just the forest floor is so thick. Like if it's a clear spot in the clay and mud, that's different. But I'm not very good at tracking in the pine needles.
Yeah.
How often is the frequency between the activity? I mean, is it like guaranteed to happen once a month or twice, or is it 6
Well,
months or?
for sure it steps up this time of year. It seems fairly quiet in the summertime, and the fall picks up a lot. But the print right across the creek this time was a month, maybe a month ago. And then when I went around on the other property, definitely things are changing. I was trying to practice going around the spider webs and doing like the like the laser lights and stuff like that. And yeah, I need a lot of practice with that. But things had changed out there a lot just in that time. So they're for sure every 2 months, but I can't
Is
every month.
is
But that could be my skills in what I'm
is
tracking.
there any major waterways
Oh, well,
around you,
the
or
creek is through the whole
creek?
place. And then there's another creek beyond that, and then there's a bigger creek beyond that. There's quite a bit of water. And it's not a deep creek. It'll get really high if there's a lot of rain, but it goes down fast. It's only deep in the bends, but it serpentines, and the banks are really deep because it will get, so something could easily walk all through down there and you wouldn't even notice it. It's a, a good little tunnel almost to go through unless you're right out there at it. The banks are probably 8 to 10 feet deep. They're over my,
Any
if I was standing down in it.
any
But the
major
water,
power lines, or
there is a giant cell tower down the road about no more than 2 miles, at least a mile. It's the old farm and market road, but there is a big cell tower down the road. Doesn't do us much good. We don't get that great a signal around here, but you know, so I guess that there's some pipelines around here, but they're a couple miles away. But the main thing I think is that creek. That's where the guy saw the it's by the little bridge where he saw the thing with the deer. It's all in that same area where my daughter saw it. Like every time it seems to involve the creek, for when we hear something. But the way the creek is, it just snakes all through the land. So does the water increase their, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Activity, yeah.
Yeah, and their power or
use of passageways?
like an energy source, I wondered about that with the water, like electricity and water. I don't know.
Possible that could attract. It seems like a lot of
I know it's a food,
they
it's where all
use
the
them
prey
like
comes to. It's the water.
roadways.
I've heard they use them for the bathroom too, which is one way that they can, hide their scat.
Conceal, yeah.
Mhm.
And that's where a lot of food is. Always food by the water.
It's a spring-fed creek, so it's a decent little creek, muddy bottom. It's not pretty like up in Oklahoma. Y'all have the stone bottoms on your creeks. Down here, it's all clay and sand. It's just not good-looking water, but it is fresh water.
Do you have any neighbors? Do you have like a big population of neighbors, or y'all spread out, or?
Very spread out. There's some people that are going to be moving in across the creek, but they've just barely started clearing any land. And back behind us is, like I said, 7 acres. The other side of us that's another, it's got to be at least another 10, 20 acres to the next little dirt road. And then if you go to the back end of our property and to the right to the next guy's property, his goes up against that road. And that's where the shelters I'm saying are just like, they're just right there. I just can't hardly believe that it's almost like they strategically put them there so they can watch who's going up and down the road, is what it looks to me like. I mean, it really does. It just looks like,
That's exactly what it's there for.
seems like it.
That's what they're doing. They want to know who's coming in, what time they come in. They want to know before they move. They want to know everything about you.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It's very strategic.
Yes,
The
and that's
other. I was going to say the other thing that would help too is if you got some yarn and like popsicle sticks,
Uh-huh.
when you go out to listen again,
Uh-huh.
that way wherever you're hearing those noises coming from, you can actually kind of mark it. And
Okay.
that way too, the next time you go out, if it changes, you know that you kind of know where they're moving to. That kind of keeps you pinpointed on where they're at.
You mean if it changes, like if they take it down or they move it,
Well,
or
they won't take it down if it's setting out like in the yard, because what you're going to do is just you're going to put like a stick where your house is at, and then you're going to kind of move the yarn out to where kind of in the direction that you're hearing the noises.
oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay,
It'll be kind of it's kind of like a sundial.
gotcha.
You're kind of pinpointing where the noise is coming from, and then next time you're out, you can kind of tell where that next noise is coming from. You know, about how far of distance they've moved.
Okay. I know here lately the dogs have been barking a whole lot more off the, just two different. The creek winds around and it's both
Yeah,
directions of the creek.
that would be something too. Even even the anomaly of where the dogs are barking. You
Mhm.
know, put a marker out there to to where that you can see it,
Right.
and as and then you kind of walk the dogs in between the where they're barking and where they're not barking, and see if kind of use them as judgment. Kind of walk them up there a little bit and see if they start pulling back.
Yeah.
Then that kind of gives you a boundary of how close they are.
Right. Yeah. I know they're coming within 50, 60 yards of the house just because that's how close the creek is. And I
Yeah.
know they're coming all the way to the creek. Yeah. I hope y'all can come up here.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Have you seen any deer or hogs in the area, or do you see any trails, or do you just hear them?
No, I've literally seen the hogs on
Okay.
both sides of the house before. Not a ton of them, but they're out there. And then hog tracks. And the deer was just the one doe that was out there on the road um, that was near here. But for the most part, the deer are further down a mile or two going down the farm and market road. Uh, the property with the driveway and the structures that's adjacent to ours on the east, I do see some deer tracks out there. Um, not an overabundance of them, but there's spotty here. I saw a mother and a doe last summer, early summer, out there on that property. I don't see a lot. It's not like some places where you see them all over in the yard. There's not that many, but that could be because our dogs too. I don't know.
Well, the deer they will actually use the deer and the hogs for familiarity. They want you to see natural things around, so they'll leave. I mean, not many, but they'll leave them just for that,
Right.
and
I know
they'll
go ahead.
oh, that would just lull you into the confidence, to if everything looks normal, there's a deer, there's no big, problems. They're coming in closer and closer and closer. So, um,
It seems to
well,
me like it. Yeah.
oh yeah, I always think that they know every trick in the book. I guess you would say, they've done this for a long time, and you're not the first place they've encountered.
Right.
Um, they do this. This is what they do. So I'm hoping that we can get that location, and we'll put it on the map, and we'll all look at it as a group and see what would be the best time. Because I'd like to get up there and track in the area and see what's going on, and just to give you, like, whenever we tracked our other friend's house, we brought a report back. This is what's in your
Right.
area, and this is what we found. This is what we found, just so that you know
Right.
exactly what's out
Yeah.
there.
Yes. Hmm. I
And
appreciate it.
I was going to say, if you ever want to trap them for food, let me know. I know a way of getting the wild hogs to go into a pen.
Okay.
hmm,
A lot of people say that wild hog meat's not any good. Don't let them listen. Don't listen to
Yeah.
it.
Every time I mention about a hog out there, my husband's like, "Why didn't you shoot it? We could have. We could ate it. Why didn't you shoot it?" I'm like, "Yeah, but if I
Yeah.
shot it, then I'd have to clean it and prepare it, and,
They have
and
to
I'm
do all
not
the
ready
work.
for all
Yeah,
that. Wait till you're home.
yeah. Wait
A
till
lot,
I
you're
a
got
lot
to
of
there.
clean out the freezer."
a lot of it too is they have really good quality bacon on them too, compared
Yeah.
to a farm raised hog,
Right.
because they're using that muscle every day. A farm raised hog doesn't get a lot of exercise.
Yeah.
You know, their grazing area is anywhere from 1 to 5 miles.
Right. I know we have some black panthers out here every year, every fall. We've seen them.
Okay.
Oh.
Have you tried the Clorox in your you know where your stove is, that vent? I can't think of
We don't even
convection.
have one. We just have ceiling fans. We don't even have a vent in the.
Oh, okay, okay.
So
I was wondering because they always smell that. They want to smell what you would taste like, I guess.
right, right.
And
Yeah, I don't think they'll
so
be too impressed with my cooking.
uh,
I don't think.
well, whatever you can do to deter them for right now. A lot of people don't like the techniques I use, but I put like small spikes up around my windows, where I know that they'll be coming around, or pathways or things like that. And I've caught, blood samples from that, and but it did deter them from coming to the windows and things like that, because as soon as we're asleep, they know when we're asleep. They know when those lights go off. They know when it's quiet, and they can hear people snoring, and that's when they come up and see what's going on, who's around, who's in the house, and so
And there are times when I'll hear like a big thump on the side of the house or something, but I just tell myself, oh, it's just a dog. I don't get up, go look. But now looking back, I think, dang, it's an awful loud thump. But when he retires, which will be very soon, his hearing's a lot better than mine, and he can tell the direction, and he's going to help me with all that.
Oh, good. I hope he retires like tomorrow.
It'll be this year. It'll be this
Oh,
year.
good.
Yeah.
Good. But yeah, if you can get us some audio or some pictures of the fresh that you can find. It's
Okay.
not that we need it, but I thought we'd have some for the guests and the
Sure.
viewers. We don't need it because we know it's
Right.
there. But we'd
Right.
like to talk with Malcolm and Damon about when we can get up there and do some tracking and give you a report of what's in there, and hopefully your neighbors will listen too. So
Yeah.
y'all can build an alliance together, and that's what a lot of people need to do, is build that alliance with your
Right.
neighbors.
But
So
it
it's
also helps the people around you that are non-believers.
Right.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's
But
there's a
there
lot
really
of
is nobody close to us at all right now. Where would you say, like half a mile is the closest? About a half a mile is the closest people.
okay, and those game cams, if y'all can get a couple of those, that's not going to catch them, not unless you put them diagonal and zigzag, and we can talk about that. But it will deter them from coming up to your windows and your doors and your cars and stuff. So
Right.
at least that'll
Yeah.
keep them out of areas. Um,
The
they
main
could,
thing I worry about is the little grandsons.
yeah, yeah. Any place that kid is going to be, even where he may sleep, any put security around him, all places, because it's those children that they would take that before they would take an adult. So,
Yeah.
um, but I think we're going to close tonight. And Damon and Malcolm, they can if y'all can if we get any information back tomorrow on any of those two places, I'd like to see if y'all might be able to give us an update and tell us what's going on. And if even Malcolm, if you can get that guy for tomorrow, that would be great too. So we can hear his firsthand experiences and everything that's happened to him. And Malcolm just zeroed out.
Yeah,
went to go
I'm
get him.
freezing up.
Can you hear me, Malcolm? Or
I can hear me.
Well, I was going to ask if you could, if you could text me that information about him. I would like to get a hold of him too, if he wouldn't mind.
Yeah, Malcolm, if you could share that information with Damon on the gentleman he's got a YouTube channel too, I think you said, but
Yeah,
oh,
your microphone's off.
It's glitching on my end. I'll share that information with you there, Damien.
I greatly appreciate it. Yeah, because like
Yeah.
I said, the more I can, the more I can get more people that I'm still trying to work on getting us sponsors. I really am, because I think if we get more, get some people that can help sponsor us, we can get out to more places.
yeah, that's something too to have this group go out to a lot of places, especially like the Faith Walkers area, because people do. I mean, you don't need the proof because you know it's there, but this would if other people might want to ask questions or the neighbors, we would have proof of the footprints, everything that you already have, except it would be with more than just one person saying it. And,
Right.
how that
Exactly.
goes. People, I mean, you could tell your own child how to do something, and if they hear it from some other person, you know.
That's exactly it. You just nailed it. That's exactly it. So he will quit chuckling at me every time I say something. He just laughs. But he did
Well,
tell me about the owls the other night, so he's coming along.
Good,
I was
because those.
gonna say, since he's been so quiet in the background, it sounds like he gets a homemade baked cookie for it.
Oh yeah. If there's any cooking to be done, he's probably the better one to do it. I painted him an egg in a skillet one time. I was like, "Here, honey, this is like the best I can do." I'm not too good at cook. Mediocre. I make a mean sandwich.
All right, looks like guys, it looks like we're gonna have sandwiches. uh, so we will finish this up tomorrow because we should have more information tomorrow. Faith Walker, don't do anything unless you know it's in a safe environment.
Yes, sir.
Try to get us some vocals because we know, but if we can, even if you put like a microphone outside your door, which I caught a lot of vocals by I have a regular Nikon camera and it had a long like 19-foot cord as a little lapel, but I put that outside and every time I heard a disturbance I'd flip on my camera and it had that speaker way out there and that's when I picked up like the pig noises, the
Right.
walking, the movement, and that told me exactly how close they were because if I can hear that, they're right there. So whenever you can pick up vocals just outside your house or door, that tells you, they are closer than those 60 yards that you're thinking. So,
Yeah.
um, just little things like that so we can kind of get a idea of how close they really are. But I really think that they're coming up to your windows and things like that when you are sleeping, and we have to look at those prints, and they will go on all fours till they get up there for weight distribution, not to move the prints, but they do have little scuffs on the grass or they will weigh down some leaves. They like leaves and stuff to walk on. So look for those things
Okay.
and we'll all be back tomorrow. I'll send these invites out again, same emails. We'll get everybody back tomorrow. We'll catch up on the updates, and we'll take it from there. And I'm not going to do any more information until we get all this information, everything worked out, and we will know more about your area also, Faith Walker.
Thank you.
Okay, so I would like to say good night, and if anyone has any last words or to wish everybody a good night, we can do that now, and then we will see each other tomorrow night at 9:30 Central Time Zone.
Good night. Thank you.
Really, I'm just hoping everybody, takes everything in and, and applies it.
I took notes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all important information. And we will see y'all tomorrow night, 9:30 p.m. Central Time Zone. Thank y'all and have a great night.
Good night, everybody.
Right.
Good night. Good night, everybody.